Hi, I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101. And just recently, instead of just relying on the few people that I was talking with here, I decided to go out and try to find some more people that we can congregate with and maybe help. How do I decide what the content is going to be here? Well, I allow you all to decide what the content is going to be, but I also offer my content. And one of the things that I use to determine what content I use is something that I think misses a lot of people. But just give me a moment here to talk about it, and let me share why it's important. One of the things that I do with Conscious Counseling 101 is I try to find content that is going to be just the most important content you can possibly ever have. And it may go past just the perspectives that you have here in this world on the importance and the value you place on things and what you try to make happen in your life. The content that I try to provide is content that not only will help you see that in a different light through conscious perspective counseling, but will also help you to imagine more than that. What if? It's the what if. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you realize I talk about the not knowing that gives us the power, that gives us the ability to fathom the infinite, that gives us wisdom, that gives us a heightened conscious. Why does that do that? Because it allows us to realize that there could be so much more than what we think. If you will take the time to go this road with me in Conscious Counseling 101 and fathom, I will promise you that what you see will be so large that you can actually transform your point of view and transform the things around you. But what's more important, you'll start to think that what could be may actually be, and take your finger off the dull pulse beat of the things in your life and the things in this world and the things on the boob tube and the things on the YouTube that are just fluff. Lost people listening to lost people, blind people being led by the blind. The reason Conscious Counseling 101 exists is to bombard that trend and not wipe it out, but offer an inroad to someone else that wants something better, or to many people that want something better. What I'm trying to do, and the reason I'm making this video right here, is to give you an idea of how I decide on what our content should be. Now, I put the word out there for anybody that comes by to ask for help, present their problems, discuss through issues, anything that they'd like to talk about. I'll be glad to talk with you, and if you want me to counsel with you on something, I will do that. But I decide on my own content as well, and my content has to do with the eternal possibility of the fathomed infinite, that there's more than this. What if there was more than this, and you conducted your life on a day-to-day basis and just ran it through to the end and didn't give that huge possibility enough credit? What if we live for what we see and feel, and just a little bit maybe beyond the borders every once in a while, I go into what we call science fiction or whatever. What if that is what most people are doing? That narrow band, what if that's what they're doing with their lives? Conscious Counseling 101 says that's what we believe. Now, we don't know anything for sure, but that's what we believe. And we believe that is a tragedy. When I was a child, there was a commercial on television, and it was about African American people, and it said, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." Well, this is how we feel here at Conscious Counseling. I remember that commercial, and it struck me even then. Yes, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a life is a terrible thing to waste. What if our minds are so caught up in the here and now, and the titillation of society, and the things that we think are all-consuming, and that stops us from wanting to go further? What if that makes us succumb to a psychosocial crisis where we stop learning, we stop growing, we stop questioning, we stop fathoming, we stop thinking, and we stop believing there's an infinite, and we become convinced that we're just going to wallow away in the world that we're in, and this is going to be it for us? What if that happens? And you've wasted your conscious, you've wasted your mind, you've wasted your life. Now, the only positive benefit that you could possibly say that you have achieved, and I doubt you're going to say this, would be that you are happy and blissful in your ignorance. I don't see a lot of people in the world that are in that state. I see a lot of disharmony and discord and unhappiness. And I think that's because They aren't achieving anything by blocking out. They're hurting themselves and the world we live in. In Conscious Counseling 101, we take on the tools necessary to not be that way any longer. And that can start right now. Now, if you learn these tools that we offer and talk about here, or that I do at least for the content that I provide, you will be able to instantaneously change your perspective. Now, that doesn't necessarily change anything, but when you do change your perspective, that gives you an opportunity to change. And the first thing that you change is yourself, because if you take the time to fathom and to believe that there could be more, one of the first things you're going to do is start to become different in your mentality, in your makeup, in your belief system. And when that happens, everything that you touch and interact with, you're going to see in a different way through that new perspective. And you're going to start to interact and touch those things differently. And they're going to touch you differently. And when that happens, and you're consciously in control of all that's happening, you're going to lift to a place where you're more focused on what could be than what is. And what could be is so powerful, you can't even imagine what could be. And yet you're not living for it at all because it seems so intangible to so many of us. Even to myself. But I still live for it. Why do I do this? Because I realize how strangely dim everything here truly is. I realize that. Because I see it for what it is. I would like to help you see it for what it is. And when you have problems and they seem huge, if I help you, one of the things I help you to do is see what you have more accurately. And when I do that, it doesn't make your problems go away, but it makes you more empowered to understand them, to know them fully, and to deal with them. And even if you can never make your problems go away, you can become a new person that views those problems in a different way. And through doing that, then you can achieve great things that you wouldn't have achieved otherwise. And that came through fathoming, believing that there was something much larger than what you were consumed by and trapped by, but believing that we were meant to have way more than this in our heightened conscious, and we can pursue it by simply shedding the traps that we're in. By simply believing there's more is a first step. By simply looking at something as if there is more, and not even believing it, is a first step before that even. By believing that there's more, we can do great things for ourselves with our perspective. Even if we say we didn't really do anything, we still did something because the way we perceive it's been changed. Now I submit to you that what we've really done is we've changed it by the way we perceive things. We change ourselves and then we have the tools to change. How do we develop that strength? Is it a calling? Is it a support mechanism that we might get from a friend or a counselor? I know how I got mine. I can't speak for how you got yours. But the point I'm trying to say is, if you'll walk with me just a while here, I will help you understand what can be done. And then hopefully that can trigger a calling so that you will allow yourself to see that it can be done. My hope through Conscious Counseling 101 is to trigger that change. To make the bonds that hold us just fall away. And to make us more all about what we can do to work with these new tools and these new perspectives and help one another as we're helping ourselves. That's what this page, this channel is about. I need some good people that understand and want these things, even if they don't understand them. If they want these things, if you believe there's more, if you believe that fathoming the infinite is much stronger than what you have currently found yourself bound with, and your limited perspective that the world fosters for you to maintain and have, it's wasting your life, wasting your conscious, wasting your mind. I want that waste to be stopped and blocked and thrown away, and for you to live new. At least in your mind, so that your mind can take everything in and understand what it is. At least that first step, do that for yourself. Use conscious counseling and use me and use anybody that will come and help to help you to do that. Because if you do that and you drop what you think you know, you'll be in a place that you'll never go back to being blind, but feeling blissful, or ignorant, but feeling comforted. It's all an illusion. Even if there was nothing larger, the fact that you believed there was nothing larger, it didn't look, created an illusion that trapped you. Even if there wasn't what I'm talking about, and these tools don't work, and they don't exist, and everything I'm talking about doesn't exist. This is the beauty of Conscious Counseling 101. It would work just because it would take you out of where you are in that slump that holds you down. And that alone, regardless of where you go on the road before you, is enough to make you want to become heightened conscious through conscious counseling. That's what I'm doing this for. Now, it could go a lot farther than that. If we get turned on and we go down that road, oh my gosh, fathoming the infinite and enjoying that every single day with everybody that comes up out of their shell and leaves what they thought behind could be incredible. But I'm willing to do this because I know that even if that doesn't happen, just the idea that a standard person drops this trapped facade that they find themselves in every day and believes there could be more is a spark, an idea that can't go away and won't go away. But it's a trigger, and it has to happen. If it doesn't happen and you just stop by and you just talk a little bit, that is not real. That is just another, a little bit outside that box, just a little bit. I'm talking about blowing the box away. I'm talking about changing that perspective so that you can see that the possibility of having the infinite is so much larger than the finite that you've come to know, spend your life in, and your mentality and your conscious in. That's what I want to show you. I have a difficult road to walk because I understand these things and I share them with you, but I have to live them. And I'll tell you something, it's hard. It's very hard. And I was thinking to myself the other day when I was watching some of these very successful YouTubers, they get the audience. They're not saying anything, but they get the audience. Many of them are attractive. Many of them are talking about fluff and titillation things that we all just kind of amuse ourselves with as we go down that road. And yet that's successful. What I'd like to see is successful with what I'm talking about here, and make it so that it's real, so that real good can happen, real progress can happen, real improvements through conscious perspective and actual change can happen. And that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing. That's why I keep doing it, and I'm hoping that if I keep doing it, there'll be a spark. And when that spark happens, enough people will come to make it happen. But even if they don't, even if only one person's touched, or even if I leave this behind, it's still something where I gave what I had to offer. Does a tree that falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it make any noise? Well, the answer is it makes sound vibrations, whether you're there or not. And it makes a shift in the world around it, whether you're there to see it or hear it. So it's a stupid question, really. Does it make a sound? It does something significant. I'd like to make a sound. I'd like to have someone hear it. But more importantly, I'd like to make that significant thing happen, regardless if anyone hears it. Because the energy necessary to make that thing happen has to exist. It's so large, it's so huge, it's so beyond the limited parameters that we all live with. This is what I know and live every day. This is why I want to share this with you so that you can know it and choose to live it every day, because you know it is far more important than the trivial things that make up most of our lives. This is Paul Roberts of Conscious Counseling 101. I want to see this place hum so that anybody else that comes in will hum along. We can do that. I'm only asking a few to do some humming, and I know you will. All right, guys, let's start humming.